told Athens News about the time that she purchased a puppy online. When she arrived at the breeders, she was disgusted by what she saw and canceled the check shortly after. On the way home, this little pup started incessantly throwing up in the car. Pavone suspected that this puppy had parvo, a virus that runs rampant among poorly kept mills. An emergency visit to the veterinarian's office confirmed that it was in fact parvo. The puppy needed to be euthanized. You should listen to me because puppies from puppy mills are ridden with all kinds of diseases that could even affect humans. Through my research, I have found that puppy mills is a worldwide problem. Now, the Columbus Dog Connection writes that Ohio is the second worst state for puppy mills, and it is on its way to becoming the puppy mill capital of the United States. In this speech, I will argue that the state of Ohio should make the Ohio Puppy Mill Prevention Amendment to the Commercial Dog Breeders Act. There are three main things I will be arguing. First, I will argue that puppy mills are producing unhealthy puppies. Second, I will argue that the Ohio Puppy Mill Prevention Amendment will increase the health of the dogs. Third, I will argue that this amendment does not place unfair financial burden on the commercial dog breeders. So I'm going to begin by arguing that puppies from these facilities are very unhealthy. According to the ASPCA, puppy mills are operations where profit is placed above the health and well-being of the animals. Now, in these puppy mills, it is very sad. These dogs usually have multiple diseases and they're not socialized properly. It's fair to say that people, when they adopt a puppy, they expect it to be healthy, both physically and socially. But in most cases, that's not how it works out. Now, these dogs, they suffer a lot. They're kept in tiny, cramped cages, one stacked right on top of the other. The bottoms of these cages are wire, so they often have foot problems. The dogs are bred until they can't be bred anymore. And they don't even have access to consistent fresh water and fresh food. This is tragic, and if you think that this is acceptable, then it shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be acceptable, and we need to stop this from happening. So, what we need to do is make stricter regulations. And in my second point, I will argue that the Ohio Puppy Mill Prevention Amendment will increase the health of the dogs. So, stricter regulations are necessary. The dogs will have access to consistent fresh water and fresh food. The dogs will have cages that are on the ground instead of one stacked right on top of the other. The dogs will be routinely exercised daily instead of kept in the cages for their entire lives. And they will have access to appropriate veterinary care. Now, I have seen firsthand how these humane practices have been implemented. I interned for 5 months at a humane society, and I can tell you that the shelters take very good care of the dogs. The cages that they're in are big enough for the dog to move around. Volunteers often take the dogs out for regular walks, and they're given fresh food and water. At the shelter that I interned at, there was actually a veterinarian on site, so that if any dog had any problem, it could be treated immediately. And as you can see, it's much cleaner, and the dogs get properly socialized, and it's just a lot better of a situation. Their health is put first. Now, according to attorney Kristen Kenny, puppy mills cause pet overpopulation. This leads to the public being exposed to rabies. This is a contagious disease between dogs and humans. Another disease would be something like Lyme disease and Giardia. Both of these are also very contagious and dangerous. Now, to say that, I'm sorry. Now, this is a very big problem, and I think that it should definitely be addressed. So for my third argument, I will say that this amendment does not place too much financial burden on commercial dog breeders. So with commercial dog breeders, they often state that it is too much of a financial burden for them to improve the conditions in these puppy mills. The Pennsylvania puppy mill problem mirrors that of the one that's in Ohio. Now, the Lancaster News Era writes that about Ken Brandt, a lobbyist in Harrisburg who speaks on the behalf of commercial dog breeders. He states that the animal rights side is making mountains out of molehills and makes the situation seem far worse than it actually is. For this reason, commercial dog breeders see no reason to spend more money on improving their facilities. So, according to Eric Sandy with the Cleveland Scene, the puppy mills in Ohio is a multi-million-dollar industry, and it brings in over $9 million in just one county. To say that it is too much of a financial burden on these commercial dog breeders to increase the standard of care for the dogs is a statement to which I respectfully disagree. So basically, people expect to adopt healthy puppies in the first place. If the product that they promised was, if the product was what they promised, then there would be no issues in the first place. With renewed consumer trust, people will begin to buy puppies from them once more. So they should have healthy dogs. So, in conclusion, today I talked about the Ohio Puppy Mill Prevention Amendment. We talked about how puppies from puppy mills are unhealthy, how the Ohio Puppy Mill Prevention Amendment can help increase the health of the dogs, and how this amendment is not too much of a financial burden on the breeders. Now that you know more about the Ohio Puppy Mill Prevention Amendment, I hope that you go home and vote for this when it comes on the ballot in 2018. Thank you very much.